My guest today is Asta, who had an astral projection experience that she is going to share with us today. Asta, how are you doing? Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, for having me here. So I'm good. Thanks. Hope you too.
Awesome, good. You are free to start at whatever point you feel is most relevant to the story, and you can take it from there.
Okay, so I will start from the fact that I got ill with breast cancer back in September 2016. And for me, this experience, I mean, looking back, that was the first experience where I felt the separation between my body and me as a spirit. Because personally, I was doing great. I was feeling good. I just realized that my body was ill, and during half a year I received the chemotherapy, and afterwards a radiation treatments. And during that time I started to learn actually Spanish. So imagine I was sitting there in that session with many bags of chemo running through my veins, and I was learning new words in Spanish. And at that time, you know, when you go through such an experience, I actually, like, I guess many people started questioning what's the purpose of life. And a year later, I received a second surgery. And after that surgery, I lost weight and in the hospital. And one morning, I woke after my second surgery. I woke up in the morning to prepare my 11-year-old daughter for school. So I prepared her for school, drank some water, and then went back to bed. And I was somewhere in between falling asleep and being awake. And I was so kind of a room, and in my sleep and in my dream. And then I had a sensation in my head on the right side. I remember it very well. It started like a chill, you know, like many needles when you, yeah, it's like cold water or something like that. And normally, and I used to have it already many times before, and normally I would try to wake up, you know, and massage my head, you know, so that it goes away. But at that time, something in me told me, Asta, if you want to receive the answers that you're actually looking for, so try to relax and let it happen. So I tried to relax, and what happened next was that this chill started going over my whole head side, and my whole body was vibrating with, I don't know, like electricity, and this chill was going through my whole body. And in my dream I saw like or what was called like a dream, I saw like a black shadow moved from the wall, and it lay on me, on my whole body, and it was so heavy. It was very, very heavy. I could hardly breathe, and at some point it pressed me, pushed me, and all of a sudden it released me. And then what happened, it was so frightening. First of all, it was very, very loud. So I heard these very, very loud beats all the time. It was extremely loud. So later, when I Googled and looked for information, I found so it's called binaural beats, and which I found on YouTube. It was exactly the same sound, exactly the same sound. It's incredibly loud, very, very loud. And next to it, there was another metallic sound. It's like an iron on iron, you know, as if someone was, you know, moving kind of a stick on an iron circle. So these were these two sounds. And I was so scared. I didn't know what was happening to me. I had no idea. I was so scared. I just knew something was happening to me. Incredibly loud. And at some point, I managed to open my eyes, and what I saw, it's incredible. I saw huge space and so many stars. It was so beautiful. Incredible. It's difficult to describe how beautiful it was. Okay, and then all of a sudden it was quiet, and when I opened my eyes, I was in a very clean room, but the only thing I saw was the floor, and there were 4 men, and I only saw the shoes, black shoes, gray trousers, and white doctor coats, and then I saw them only from the knees downwards, and they were standing around kind of a table, and they were talking to each other in a very, as a matter of fact tone, so very factual and very calm, but the language, I could not understand the language, although I speak 4 languages, but that was the language I could not understand. And they were very calm, very, as a matter of fact, talking. And then again, it became very loud. And again, I was again on a travel. Yeah, again, the sound, very loud sound, these beats and this metallic sound. And then I arrived in a new place. And that was, that was like a battlefield. But, you know, like in Egypt, this ancient battlefield. So there were, the only thing I saw was a man with a sword and in a shield, and he was running to me, willing to, you know, and I was, first of all, what is he going to kill me? But then he ran through me. And at that moment, I realized that he cannot see me, that I'm just here as a observer. So that was one scene. But you have to understand, I was so frightened. I was there, I was seeing it. I knew this, but I was all the time, I was so frightened. And then again, this journey, and again, the binaural beats, and again, this metallic sound, and again, space and stars. And the last station was, I only remember I saw only a wood, a carving. It was kind of a carving out of wood, and but I don't know. I can't remember. It looked like a family sign or something like that. You know, it was out of wood and round, and that was very short. This being, I mean, it was the very short time, and then again, the travel with these beats and you know, with the sound, and I was screaming all the time, but I could not hear myself because that sound was very loud, and I was trying, you know, to get out of there. I was trying to wake up and screaming and shouting and trying to move, but I couldn't, and I was scared to death, really. And then, so that was the longest period. So looking back, I think I went back into the time, and then this last journey was the longest one. And then all of us, and then it all stopped, the sound stopped. I was in my bed again, and I just sat in my bed all of a sudden. And I looked around, and everything was so quiet. I was home again, and I was at home alone. So I don't know if I was screaming during this time. I have no idea, because nobody was there. And I just was thinking, what was that? So the first thing, of course, mobile phone, soul travel, looking to, you know, what was it? So I started, searching for it, and this is how I found this name, astral projection. I found the binaural beats, and read also many things that how people went through this, how they were pushed out of their body. So exactly the same, this heavy shadow on me. And also one guy, I don't remember his name, but he's quite famous, because many people say, I would like to experience that. So what should I do to experience that? So what he said was exactly what I did. So I lost weight. I didn't eat meat at that time. I woke up in the morning, went to the bathroom, drank some water, and half an hour went to bed again. And this is exactly what you normally says, you have to be awake for half an hour and then go to bed again. And this is where, it's the best time if you want to experience it. So this is exactly what I did without knowing that, and that's how it happened.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Did what I'm wondering though, you said that you had questions about the meaning of life. Did you receive any answers to your questions?
Yeah, nobody was talking to me there, and I didn't saw any signs or but okay, let's say this way. At that time, I had one more very interesting experience. So let me share this with you. Also, at that time, I was reading the book of Stephen Hawking, Brief Answers to the Big Questions, right? And I told you that I had this experience on March 12, 2018. I remember this date very, very well, right? And at that time, after this experience, I was really afraid to go to bed and sleep. I was really afraid that this will happen to me again. And 2 days later, in the morning, I had a dream. Also in the morning, that was really a dream. And I saw a young man standing on the bridge. That was a young, slim man with big glasses. And I had no idea who it was. I just saw him. And then when I woke up in the morning, I read that Stephen Hawking died. And I saw because he died on March 14, 2018, right? And when I Googled, I saw the pictures. And you may say wherever it was, but I saw he looked very similar. That young man looked very similar to young Stephen Hawking. I'm just saying I don't want to attach any meaning to it. I just know what I saw. Anyway, and when I read this book, I mean, looking back, the answer for me is actually that I think the whole world, it's just universal laws. It's mathematics, it's physics, it's astrophysics, it's attraction, it's all energy, and we are all, and I'm so convinced we are just a part of nature and a part of the whole universe, which consists of iron and atoms and all these things. And I think that my answer is, what's the meaning of life is actually like the nature, to grow and keep the balance. That's it, the balance between positive and negative. And I think that we humans tend to look for some higher goals, or for to attach some importance to our existence, but there is no special mission, no special, I don't know, it's the only mission we have is to grow like trees, like anything else in the universe. It grows and keeps the balance. And the nature is the best example. I mean, it always keeps the balance. And and my answer is just to be happy and keep the balance and grow. And the moment I start growing, I guess I will have to go somewhere else. Yeah.
I have heard somebody say that they had contact with some spirits from the other side, and they said the same thing, that they use the analogy that this body is like renting a car, and you have to sign an agreement to get this rental body. And part of the agreement is that you continue growing and evolving spiritually. And the minute you stop doing that, you no longer have a right to be here. Would you agree with that?
Yes. I well, when I look at the I agree with that. It's just that we are all on a different level of our spiritual journey, and I think that everybody is growing. It's just that everybody is on a different level, right? Um, because you can't talk about such topics to anybody, because I actually tried talking to my ex-partner at that time, and it's I mean, it's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So people would never grasp this topic, or even try to understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But honestly, when I look at some people in our world, I'm just wondering, are they actually where is their growth? But
Yeah.
on the other side, it's negative and positive. So there must be balance between negative and positive. So yeah.
Yeah. And that one of the things that I think is that dealing with people, like when you are a being who is at kind of a higher level of evolution, dealing with another being who's at a lower level of evolution can be part of your growth as well. I know that's one thing that I've been experiencing for the past 2 or 3 years with all the madness that's been going on in the world, that, you know, learning to be understanding and that not everybody is at the same level of awakening. That really helped my spiritual evolution and my growth. So
Yeah, I agree. I would even compare this with yoga, because I always practice yoga, and I think that many people, when they come to yoga, they come because they have somewhere some pain. They need to stretch some muscles, and they have some pain in the neck. But yoga is much more. When you go deeper, it's actually you practice to keep the balance. You go right into your soul, right? Because this is how you go there. But for me, I as a yoga teacher, I need to be on the level of those people, and what's the English word, humble, to just stay humble. It's very, very important, and to understand that yeah that they are just at the beginning of their practice, and to join them there at their level where they are, just work for their muscles, and to help them stretch, and because that's how you evolve, right, and go further with your practice.
mm-hmm. Have you
That's
ever tried to access this astral projection on command? Like, have you ever tried to make it happen, or did it just happen by accident?
No, I see it as a huge gift, from the universe, and because I was asking for it. I was asking for deeper understanding, and I got it, and I don't want. For me, it's a gift, and I'm very grateful for it, and I don't want to try and maybe go somewhere. I don't know, somewhere I shouldn't. I think that things must happen organically, right? So that's, I don't want to, I don't know, to force
That's a good
something.
way to look at it.
Yeah,
That's a very good outlook, that you shouldn't try to force something. You should let things flow naturally.
yeah, exactly. So that's, yeah.
Well, before I wrap this up, would you have any advice for some people who maybe do want to experience something like this? Because there's a lot of people out there who are very lost and they feel trapped, and they want to, like you said, you mentioned that there are some people saying, "How do I experience this?" Would you have
Mm.
any advice for people who do want to experience this?
Um, it's difficult for me, because my advice, well, if I looked at my own experience in life, so I don't know, I went through a lot of pain in my life, but that's, I'm sure I'm not the one here, because all of us experience bad moments in our life, and I lost my fiance to pancreas cancer when our daughter was 10 days old. He died, I gave birth to our daughter and he died 10 days later. So, and then I got ill with cancer. And so for me, it was a very big, how should I say, big, I wouldn't call it a playground, but on the other side, I think our life is a playground. It's all a kind of a play. So I had a big playground to evolve, because I think that I'm sure that the only way to grow is to go through pain. Because, like I say, for me, I know without dark, there is no light. And that's the balance. So for me, the dark and the white, or the dark and the light, is the balance which we have. And if we don't have the darkness, we will not know what the light is. And that's the only way to grow, right? And so that without the darkness, we wouldn't have the opportunity to grow, and without the pain. So I don't think if you now, like that guy said, okay, lose some weight, be vegan, don't eat meat, go to bed, wake up early, drink some water and go to bed again, and then you will experience it. I don't know if it works. I think that I do believe that there must be some pain that the person goes through. You really have to to fall deep, to be able to stand up. And when you stand up, only when you know the pain, you know what it is to be happy. And then you don't need anything to be happy, because it comes from inside. I know how many people say your happiness comes from inside. And it's just already boring to hear it, right? But the truth is, your happiness comes from inside, but you understand it only when you really know what real pain is. And to experience it, I'm sorry, but you have to go through pain.
I agree.
That's how it is.
Well, Asta, I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. That was an amazing story. I greatly appreciate you being a guest on my podcast. You have a good day, and I wish you the best.
Thank you. Same to you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.